You may have searched for chametz, for leaven products, for an inordinately long time before Pesach. You may have cleaned your house, not just for hours, but maybe for days. You may have gone with our tradition and looked in every single nook and cranny, every single possible area for even the tiniest crumb of chametz. You may have done all of that for as long as possible. It doesn't matter, it could be days. Still there is a chance that you will find chametz in your home over Pesach. Our tradition recognizes this. In our family, it's almost a bit of a joke. Which day will we find it? Oh, there it is. There's that tiny piece of chametz that we were expecting to find at some point. But here's the interesting thing. When you find it on Pesach, it's no longer chametz, so long as you've recited a very particular nullification clause before the festival. What does this mean? We search for chametz, we take the chametz out of the home, we destroy it, and then we make a statement. Any chametz that is still in our home, that we haven't seen and that we haven't removed, is to no longer be considered as chametz, and is instead to be considered as the dust of the earth. That's really a fascinating statement, because it's taking something which is chametz and turning it into something that is not chametz. Even though it may look like chametz, like leaven product, in fact it's now just essentially the same as dust of the earth. And this act of nullification is not unique in Jewish law. For example, in kashrut, if a person eats something and then later discovers that there was a tiny trace amount of unkosher food in that larger product that they ate, so long as it was less than 1 part in 60, which means that essentially you can't taste it, it's nullified. Which doesn't mean it doesn't count, it means it didn't exist. So halakha, Jewish law, actually considers itself able to literally change items in front of us, especially food items. So even though it may look like a slice of bread, it's not going to be a slice of bread, it's going to be very hard to miss a slice of bread before Pesach. But even if it looks like a slice of bread, it is no longer a slice of bread. It's just a large square-shaped piece of dust of the earth. And I think even though this may sound silly, I think it's very important because it stops us from being caught up in a fear almost of opening our pantry or opening a drawer during the festival of Pesach just in case there's chametz there. Because the point is there isn't chametz there anymore. So the act of nullification frees us, it liberates us. Nullification is very important for us morally and ethically as well. Maimonides, the Middle Ages sage, says that if you are not able to remove chametz before Pesach, then remove chametz during Pesach. And if you're not able to remove chametz during Pesach, then remove it every other day. Remove it during the rest of the year as well. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean that Maimonides never ate a sandwich? Maybe. What it particularly means is not physically, but moral chametz as well. Chametz is that which is leavened, that which is puffed up. So when we nullify chametz, when we search for chametz and remove chametz, what we are doing is we are specifically getting rid not just of food, but also that which is inside us, which grows, which expands, our ego essentially. We're meant to be humble, like matzah, lowly, small, not necessarily taking over. The festival of Pesach is a festival that is 6 months or so after Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. It's a time for us to reflect, a mid-year reflection on who am I? And particularly the act of nullification, not just removing chametz from our homes and from our hearts, but the act of nullification I think is really important. Because it's very easy for us in our society to nullify, to not see that which is. Our society is predicated on forms of oppression. Our economic system is predicated on forms of oppression. What does that mean? We live in a society in which some people are more privileged than others. And that could be because of race or class or gender or sexuality or religion. There is so much oppression in our society. And it's very easy for us to get on with our lives and nullify it. and say, I didn't see it. Even though I see it, it's not really a problem. And so I think the act of nullification is actually really important for us, ethically, during Pesach. Because even though we're not turning a blind eye, even though we might well see chametz in our homes and say, it's okay, it's not chametz, it's really important nonetheless for us to see the chametz in society and say, wait, that is chametz, and I need to remove it. I can't just nullify it, I need to remove it. And so, over Pesach, I encourage you not just to be caught up with the chametz of the stomach, but with the chametz of the heart and the chametz in our society. Because Pesach is a festival of liberation. Pesach is a festival of freedom, of helping remove the chains of oppression. And we cannot be free if others are not free as well. Jewish freedom is not just individual freedom, it's communal freedom and social freedom. And so this Pesach, I encourage you to consider not just the chametz of the stomach, but the chametz of the heart and the chametz in our society, and work out how to remove it and not just nullify it. I encourage you to join us this evening in our Kabbalat Shabbat service, where you'll hear the Omer being recited. That started last night at our communal Seder, our wonderful communal Seder. We will be looking at freedom in the sermon as well. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be looking at a fun bit of Talmud about the mouse in the house, and what happens if during Pesach you see a mouse run into your house with chametz in its mouth, and it goes into a hole and comes out and there's no chametz in its mouth. What do we do with inadvertent chametz? Can we remove it? Do we have to remove it? Are we obliged to consider it? Is it or can it be nullified? We also look at what happens if there is a loaf of bread on a super high beam up in your house. It's a fun bit of Talmud. I really do encourage you to join us for that on Zoom. And tomorrow's Shabbat Shacharit service also has the half Hallel, songs and psalms of joy. We encourage you to join us for that as well. I wish you Shabbat Shalom.